And I want to make a distinction between the Iranian nation and the Islamic Republic, okay? I'm going to call this regime the Islamic Republic, and I'm going to call Iran the Iranian nation and the Iranian people. The Islamic Republic has been at war with the United States and the West ever since it came into power in 1979.
I am Larry Elder. We are Salem News Channel. My guest hosts two podcasts, the Thought Leader Revolution podcast and the Sovereign Man podcast. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He has made something like over 1,000 guest appearances on various shows in the past 3.5 years, many on Iran and its future. He graduated from Georgetown University, was born in Tehran, Iran, to Christian parents. When he was a teenager, he and his family immigrated to Canada for their safety. Please welcome to the program, Mr. Nicky Billou.
Good to be here, Larry. Thanks for having me on the show.
Nicky, thank you so much for coming on. 1,000 podcast appearances. It's your first one coming on my show. What am I, chopped liver?
Man, you're the best of the best. It took me a while to earn the right to be on your show, so I'm honored to be here.
Well, Nicky, obviously so much to talk about what's going on right now in Iran. But first, tell us about your experience growing up in Iran as a Christian. What was that like?
Larry, that's a great question. During the time of the Shah, it was an incredible experience being a Christian in Iran. But once the Islamic Revolution took place, things went to hell. Let me just tell you a brief story. There were literally gun battles going on in the streets near my home. And one day, my parents' level of concern for me and my two brothers' safety just shot up by 1,000-fold. There was this crash through our living room window, and there were glass shards flying everywhere, and something landed next to my feet. Now, I'm 11 years old. I don't know what the heck it is. But my dad did. It was a Molotov cocktail, right? So he pulls out that burning wick, and as a result, the thing doesn't blow up, and that's the only reason I'm here alive to talk to you today. That's when my parents decided, that's it. This isn't a place to raise a Christian family, and they got me and my two brothers out of there and brought us to the free West. And I'll tell you, it's the greatest single thing they did for us because they took us from a legacy of tyranny to a legacy of freedom. And I believe, Larry, like you, that inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man and woman on this planet yearns to breathe free, to chart their own course, to march to the tune of their own drummer.
Nicky, I spent several months in Jerusalem in 1973, around 6 years or so before the fall of the Shah. And I roomed with someone from Tehran. He hated the Shah. He hated the secret police, Savak. His teeth had been knocked out because he was involved in protesting an increase in bus fare, got arrested, got beaten up, despised the Shah, despised America, although he made an exception for this American he was rooming with. But his contempt for the Shah was just visceral. How popular was the Shah?
Look, at the time of the revolution, okay, there were plenty of people who felt as this man did. But I don't think the Shah's support was ever as low as the Islamic Republic's is right now. There were a lot of people who'd been educated by the Shah's government in the West. And they thought, well, Iran should be just like the West. We should have freedoms here. There shouldn't be a secret police. But here's the truth. The Iranian people weren't like the people of the West. And there was plenty of people in Iran who wanted to assassinate the Shah, assassinate his key ministers, overthrow the government. So he had a secret police. He arrested mostly communists and Islamists, okay? And I'm telling you, for the most part, the Shah was a force for good in Iran. He took Iran from a backward nation that was several centuries behind to one of the top 20 powers of the world. Women in Iran got the vote before women in Switzerland. Did you know that, Larry?
By the way, Nicky, the moral to the story is this man I told you about who despised America, immigrated to America, became a college professor, got tenured, and as far as I know, retired with a nice pension, despite the fact that he told me at that time he hated America. You talked about the government under the Shah. Now, is it or is it not true that you had a democracy and the CIA was somehow involved in toppling that democracy and installing the Shah? What's the story about that?
That's not true. So, first of all, Iran under the Pahlavis was governed under the constitutional monarchy that was established in 1906. Essentially, the Shah of Iran had the right to choose who he was going to install as prime minister and also to remove them. You're talking about Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh was installed as prime minister by the Shah. He decided that he did not want to be subservient to the Shah. He wanted to be the man in charge himself. He started to arrogate more and more powers to himself. And at one point, the Shah decided he wanted to remove him from power. And that was allowed under the Iranian constitution, okay? So there was no, Mossadegh was popularly elected. First of all, he wasn't. He was chosen for his role as prime minister by the Shah, and he was removed from his role as prime minister by the Shah, which was at the time legal under the Iranian constitution. So it's absolutely false that Iran had a Western-style democracy that was somehow violated by the Shah and by the CIA. That's not true at all.
What did your parents do for a living?
My mother had been a nurse at a hospital in Iran, and then she managed the bookstore at the American Community School where my brothers and I attended. My father was a businessman. He was involved in importing medical equipment to equip hospitals in Iran at that time.
Did you guys lose everything and have to start all over again in Canada?
I don't know if we lost everything, but we lost a lot, and we did definitely have to start over. My dad was able to get some of his assets out of Iran, but not the vast majority of them.
Mm-hmm. Have you been back to Iran?
I went back once in the year 2000. I haven't been back since. Since the dawn of social media, I've been pretty vocal about my opposition to the Islamic Republic, and it would have been foolish for me to go back. I'd have been arrested and probably killed because of my anti-regime views.
When you were there in 2000, what was it like?
Brother, it was bittersweet. I mean, it was wonderful to be back in my homeland and the land of my birth. It was great to see so many historic sites and to be with family members because the majority of my family is still in Iran. But it was horrible to see what they'd done to the country. It was horrible to see that women didn't have any rights. Women had to cover themselves up from head to toe in chadors. And people in Iran were not as wealthy. They were not as prosperous. They were not as free and open as they had been during the time of the Shah. And that was a horrible thing to see.
And you could tell they were not as happy.
Oh, absolutely, man. Larry, if you've been in an unfree country, and I believe you have, you can tell the difference.
Nicky, I live in California.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure you've visited countries that are not free, and you can tell there's a major difference between how people are and how they act, how careful they are with what they say and what they do, versus, for example, someone living in the free West.
Are you surprised that epic fury has happened? Are you surprised that finally an American president has done something about the regime in Iran?
I'm not. You and I have had this conversation about Donald Trump in the past, but he's the best American president since Ronald Reagan. And when it comes to taking action and backing up what he says he's going to do, he's maybe the best American president since Abraham Lincoln. What he's done is in keeping with what he said he was going to do. Back in early January, Donald Trump said to the Iranian people that, hey, help is on the way. He also told the regime, if you go around killing your people, we're going to do something about it. And he followed through on what he said. And here's the truth. The Islamic Republic, and I want to make a distinction between the Iranian nation and the Islamic Republic, okay? I'm going to call this regime the Islamic Republic, and I'm going to call Iran the Iranian nation and the Iranian people. The Islamic Republic has been at war with the United States and the West ever since it came into power in 1979. Okay, most American presidents refused to acknowledge that fact, and they stuck their heads in the sand, particularly Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. Barack Hussein and Joe Biden decided the best way to deal with Iran was to act like they were our pals and give them all this money so they could go and force multiply their terroristic activities. And because of that, October 7th happened in Israel. And I'm telling you right now, the most important thing that Americans need to realize is they should thank God that Donald Trump is their president, because Donald Trump sees in a very clear way the threat presented by the Islamic Republic, and he's decided to do something about it. He has degraded the Islamic Republic's capacity to menace the United States, to menace the people of Iran in occupied Iran, and to menace Israel and the free world. And he's decided, I'm going to take this threat out. Taking this threat out is going to give the Iranian people a chance to do what they very much want to do, which is to overthrow the Islamic Republic and to bring in as their transitional leader Reza Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah of Iran.
If I'm not mistaken, the Shah went to Brown University where I attended. He was there a little bit before me, but went to the same school. I've seen him on TV, very dignified man. He says he does not want to be the president, does not want to be king. He wants to be involved in a transitional government. How does that happen when 20, 30,000 Iranians have been slaughtered by their own government? There's no Second Amendment. They don't have firearms. There's really severe gun control in Iran. So how does the citizenry rise up and, as Donald Trump says, take back your government? How do you do that?
Well, Larry, here's what I want to say to you. The Iranian people are the best and the bravest of humanity. If you followed what happened in January and February, these people went out there in the streets with nothing but their bodies, and they marched into the guns that were firing at them, and they died by the thousands and the tens of thousands. Over 100,000 Iranians died, demanding their rights, demanding their freedoms from this evil regime. And while they did so, the name that was chanted, the name that was on their lips was that of Reza Pahlavi. Here's some of the chants that they made. They said, "In akharin nabard Pahlavi barmigerde," which means this is the last battle. Pahlavi will return. Javid Shah, Javid Shah, Javid Shah. Long live the king. 81% of the Iranian people in Iran support Reza Pahlavi. You name me one world leader in a legitimately free sense of polling and elections that wouldn't kill for that level of support. The support he has is broad and it's deep. And the reason is simple. The Iranian people look back on the reign of his father, the late Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, with an unbelievable level of nostalgia. They see that Iran was one of the 20 great powers of the world. The women in Iran were wearing miniskirts. People in Iran were able to be free and live life. Frank Sinatra came and did a concert in Tehran. Iran was an incredible place back then, and they want to bring that back. And let me tell you, the Second Amendment is a beautiful thing, and I hope that the new government in Iran will allow something like it in Iran. But Reza Pahlavi has the support of the people. On January 8th and 9th, he told the Iranian people, go out into the streets. Larry, Iran has 90 million people. 35 million of them obeyed him and went into the streets. 35 million, that's 40% of Iran's entire population went into the streets in order to ask for this regime to be set aside and overthrown. And I'm telling you this, Donald Trump has done a great thing. He has degraded the Islamic regime's capacity to kill its own people. He's degraded its capacity to hurt its neighbors. He's degraded its capacity to come up with nuclear weapons. When the United States military has finished with its rescue operation and has destroyed the IRGC, and members of Iran's regular military start defecting to the side of the people, it's my belief that at that point, the Iranian people are going to rise because President Trump and Reza Pahlavi will tell them to. They'll take over their government, and Iran once again will be out of the clutches of this evil, occupying Nazi-like regime and in the hands of Iranian patriots that actually love it. And Reza Pahlavi is the man to do it. He has the support of the people. He's someone who's taken the time to come up with a transition plan, and we're there for him. We're going to win this, Larry. This is our time.
Nicky, how long will this take, and can this happen without American boots on the ground?
The boots on the ground are the Iranian people. We don't need American boots on the ground. We are the boots on the ground. It'd be nice if President Trump would drop some weapons down to the Iranian people, because that would help us fight back any remnants of the regime. But we haven't even asked for that, and we're willing to go out there into the streets. My compatriots are. It's my belief it'll be done in under a month.
We have 60 seconds left in this segment, Nicky. You gave two numbers. One was 100,000, when a lot of people are saying there were 20 or 30,000 people killed. Where do you get the 100,000 number, and where do you get the number that 81% support the son of the Shah?
The 100,000 number, my friend, has been reported by many organizations that have contacts in Iran, including Mihan, means Motherland Media. They have an IG channel, And the 81% figure is something that I'm quoting from a lot of Iranian-based news outlets that have done some of their own private polling inside the country. That's where I've gotten those numbers from.
Nicky Billou is my guest. The number is 888-971-7243, 888-971-SAGE. Do not leave town. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder, Salem News Channel. My guest is Nicky Billou, born and raised in Tehran. Nicky, what does unconditional surrender mean?
I think it means what it's always meant, which means that you surrender and there's no conditions to your surrender, just like the Germans and the Japanese did at the end of World War II. That's what Donald Trump's looking for, and I believe he's going to get that.
From whom will he get it? Will it be the man that they have chosen to succeed, the Ayatollah? Will he stand up and say, we give up? What do they call the gang of experts, or whatever it's called, the council of experts? Who is it who's going to offer this unconditional surrender?
That's a great question. The person who's been chosen to be the successor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. But I just got a report from my contacts in Iran that he's badly injured. In fact, he's in a hospital. He's in a coma. He doesn't even know that he's been selected as the leader. So I don't think it's going to be him. The assembly of experts, perhaps. I think it'll probably be the Iranian military, because most of the IRGC is going to be destroyed or dead. There's going to be some general there who's going to say, okay, we're ready to surrender. I don't know who, but I think it's going to happen. And as soon as it does happen, that's when the Iranian people can go and reclaim their nation and reclaim their government.
I think I asked you this already, and maybe I just didn't pay attention. How long do you think it'll take for the Iranian people to rise up and take back their power?
I think it's going to take less than a month.
Why do you suppose we have heard so few voices from the Democratic Party, particularly those who are all involved in the Me Too generation, given the suppression of Iranian women? Where are they?
Larry, I got to tell you, the Democrat Party, I believe, is no longer the Democrat Party that you knew when you were growing up. That's the party of John F. Kennedy, of Scoop Jackson. That's the party that loved America and was for a robust defense of free speech and American values. The Democrat Party today really ought to rebrand itself and call itself the new fascist and new communist party, because that's what it really is. It doesn't love America. It doesn't believe in America. And frankly, it seems to be doing everything in its power to destroy everything that's made America great. Jimmy Carter, if you recall, a Democrat, was the one who back in 1978 and 79 decided to pull the rug out from under the Shah, America's most reliable ally in the Middle East, because he thought that creating a religious belt would make it easier for America to contain communism in the region. Boy, was that a huge mistake, because bringing in the Islamic Republic has led to the rise and proliferation of terrorism throughout the world. Global Islamic Jihad is a direct result of the Democrat Party's malfeasance under Jimmy Carter. And I got to tell you, I've got meme after meme that I can send you of Democrats claiming to be for women, but actually when it comes time to stand up for real women, Iranian women that are asking for their rights, they're eerily silent. It's bizarre, but it's not surprising. If you're an American, this is what I have to say to you. Maybe your father was a Democrat. Maybe your grandfather was a Democrat. Maybe your mother was a Democrat. Maybe you have fond memories of people in the Democrat Party like JFK, like RFK, and people like Martin Luther King, who stood for real American values. That is not the Democratic Party of today. You need to either become an independent or become a Republican. Otherwise, you're going to see your country go up in smoke the way Iran did back in 1979, when the unholy alliance of the Islamists and the Marxists took down the greatest leader the Middle East had ever seen, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi.
We have 2 minutes left in this segment, Nicky. I have a couple things I want to ask you. First is, what's the deal with attacking 12 countries in the Middle East, including the Gulf countries that were, I thought, on the side or neutral? Why did Iran do that?
Because they are stupid, because they felt that if they did this, some of those nations would side with them, or at least not side with the United States. But the impact has been the exact opposite of what they expected. They got Saudi Arabia to come out and say they were ready to go in on America and Israel's side. Larry, did you ever think you'd see Saudi Arabia say they were going to go in on Israel's side in the conflict? Did you think that was possible in your lifetime? Because I sure as heck didn't.
45 seconds left in this segment, Nicky. My impression is that the Iranian war is very unpopular in Canada. Am I wrong?
Among the Iranian people and the diaspora, the rescue mission for Iran is extremely popular. Among the general population, I don't think they have very strong opinions one way or another, but the 750,000 Iranians, 90-10 in favor of the United States and Israel's rescue operation of the Iranian nation and the Iranian people.
Tell us more, Nicky, about this man who's been chosen to succeed the supreme leader.
Sure. His name is Mojtaba Khamenei. He is the son of Ali Khamenei. He's regarded among Iranian circles as a bit of a lightweight. He's not regarded as any man with intellectual heft. And at the moment, he's lying in a hospital bed with severe injuries to his abdomen and his legs, and he's in a coma. So that's all I can tell you about him. He's not someone who's going to be in that role very long. He's going to be like Karl Donitz back in World War II, succeeding Hitler, but without the intellectual capacities of Karl Donitz.
So, Nicky, who's running the country?
Brother, there is no central authority running the country anymore. That's why we're so hopeful that the Islamic Republic is going to fall. There are elements of the regime that have control of various parts of the economy. The IRGC has control of some of the security services, but there is no guiding central authority anymore. The United States and Israel, taking out the leadership of the Islamic Republic, has basically taken a hammer blow to that regime. And that's why I'm so confident it's going to fall.
And Nicky, you anticipate there'll be some general or generals, plural, that will stand up and say, this doesn't work, we're losing, let's give it up?
Yeah. You got it. That's what I think is going to happen. People from the mainline military, not the IRGC, are going to stand up and say, that's it, we surrender, and we're ready to hand over the country to a transitional government.
There is a debate among a lot of people who oppose this war about whether or not Iran posed a quote-unquote imminent threat. When you hear that, what's your reaction?
They're out to lunch, Larry. These are Democrats who lie for a living and leftists who lie for a living. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. They've said a lot of lies about you over the years, right? Including calling you quote-unquote the black face of white supremacy, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. These people lie for a living. You can't trust a word that comes out of their mouth. How do you know they're lying, Larry? Because their bloody lips are moving. That's my reaction to these people. They don't know what they're talking about. This evil regime killed 100,000 of my compatriots. 500,000 of them have been badly wounded. They've killed children as young as 2 and 3 years old. They bragged to Steve Witkoff that they had enough enriched uranium to create 11 dirty bombs. Believe them when they tell you crap like this. Do not believe idiot leftists who lie for a living and whose entire rationale for being is to attack America, is to attack Donald Trump because they haven't got a brain, because they're insecure leftist idiots who honestly should be ignored and assigned to the ash bin of history, as the great Ronald Reagan said about the Soviet Union back in the 80s.
Let's talk about the Iran deal that the Obama administration negotiated. The guy that did that, the architect, was Ben Rhodes, the deputy national security advisor. After this deal was done, Nicky, as you probably know, he gave an interview to the New York Times, don't ask me why, where he all but bragged that I sold this deal on a narrative that was a fake narrative, ha, 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 he said, that there were hardliner ayatollahs and moderate ayatollahs, and if we want to give the upper hand to the moderates, we need to do this deal, ha, ha, ha. There's no difference between any of these ayatollahs, he said, but that was a narrative that I used to sell the deal. I was shocked that he said it. I was shocked that he admitted it. Republicans were angry. They wanted him to come to Congress and testify. The Obama administration, not too surprisingly, did not make him available. But I see him still popping up on CNN, giving his opinion about what's going on right now with Iran, when he's the one that did this deal that put them on the glide path to a nuke. It had nothing to do with their missile program, had nothing to do with their exportation of terror elsewhere. And yet here he is popping up as an expert on CNN. It drives me insane.
Look, man, he's dumber than a dog post. I'll tell you that right now. Ben Rhodes is directly responsible for Iran having fissionable nuclear material. He's also responsible for the October 7 attacks that killed so many innocent people in the state of Israel. And if you want to go a little further than that, he's responsible for the current conflagration, the rescue mission happening in Iran, because if he hadn't done that, Iran would naturally be weakening on its own. Hundreds of thousands of lives would not have been lost if not for the idiot Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes is a moron. Ben Rhodes is an idiot. Ben Rhodes is a lightweight. He shouldn't be taken seriously by anybody. But that's something you can say about anybody who worked in the Obama administration. Barack Hussein Obama and the people that worked for him were not exactly intellectual giants. They were midgets. They were lightweights. And it's a good thing that they're out of power right now. And it's my belief, Larry, that we're entering a period of 20 years of Republican dominance. Just like the Roosevelt years starting in 1932 were 20 years of Democrat dominance, we're going to have Donald Trump followed by 2 terms of J.D. Vance, followed by 2 terms of Marco Rubio. And there's going to be a major case of Pax Americana around the United States and the globe.
Talk to us about the role of Russia and China in what's going on right now in Iran.
So China is worried to death because China imports 70% of its energy needs, and Iran was the biggest supplier of those energy needs. Right now, they're not getting any oil from Iran. So this was a major power play move by the United States. They're not really able to do much for Iran. And the weapons that they provided to the Islamic Republic, the air defense systems, were no match for U.S. military might. You saw how American and Israeli fighter jets were able to own the skies at will. So we've shown that China's military prowess is not anywhere near what people think it is. That's one thing. Russia's making a lot of noise, but their hands are full with Ukraine. There's not a lot they can do. They were relying on Iran for supplying them with drones, but those drones aren't available to them anymore. So this is actually going to make Russia's life harder, and it's going to make it easier for the president to impose a settlement in the Ukraine conflict. So this is all fantastic news. Donald Trump has pulled off a chess masterstroke, my friend. I'm very impressed, actually. Great.
Okay, so in June, Trump takes out 3 nuclear sites, and he says, we've set back their program indefinitely. Did they immediately restart the plan, or did Donald Trump underestimate how much damage was really done?
No, he didn't underestimate the amount of damage done at the particular facilities he hit. But Iran immediately, under the Islamic Republic, decided that they were not going to stop this nuclear program, and they started recreating it elsewhere. They had contingency plans for this, is what some of my contacts have told me. So Trump had intelligence that they were way further ahead than we thought when it came to uranium enrichment. And that was the main reason that he decided now was the time to end the war that the Islamic Republic had declared on the United States back in 1979. It's a 47-year-old war. Only until Trump, no American president acknowledged it.
Nikki, did they not understand what commander-in-chief they were dealing with? Did they not understand this was not Obama, this was not Biden? Did they not understand that?
They really didn't, brother. They believe that Americans are soft and they're weak. And I can tell you this as someone who lived there. They don't get that Donald Trump is made of different, sterner stuff. But I think the whole world right now gets that he's made of different and sterner stuff.
Did you happen to watch that exchange with Adam Schiff and Bill Maher when Bill Maher read him a quote that Schiff thought came from Trump when in fact it came from Obama? Because Schiff supported the attack against Iran, against Libya, even though Obama didn't get congressional approval. And now Trump has not gotten congressional approval, but Schiff is calling this one illegal. So he was busted. Pure hypocrisy. What was your reaction when you saw that exchange?
It was entertaining. I broke out the popcorn, brother, because Adam Schiff is a lightweight. Trump calls him pencil neck. I think it's being charitable. Adam Schiff is such a moron. And he got caught out, and he had nothing to say. He was like, oh. And he was so flustered when Bill Maher had that gotcha moment with him. And, Bill Maher is kind of not a completely brain-dead liberal these days, so I appreciated him doing that. It was really important. The Iranian people appreciate what the United States has done. Listen, I live in Toronto, as you know. I've been to rallies. I was there when Khamenei got killed and they announced it. 250,000 people around me started dancing spontaneously. I was in front of the U.S. Embassy on the weekend, and I'm telling you, people were saying, thank you, Trump, thank you, Bibi, thank you, USA. And they read the names of the American servicemen that died. And there was a moment of silence for each of them because we believe these are our allies, and we consider the United States the ally of the Iranian nation.
Nicky, if people want to contact you, get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Well, I'm the only Nicky Billou on planet Earth. So if you go on social media and you type in NICKYBILLOU, you'll find me, and I'll be happy to connect with you. If you're a business owner, I got a website called eCircleAcademy.com, and there's contact information there as well.
Nicky Billou, Billou, the only one on planet Earth. Nicky, thank you for taking the time. God bless.
God bless you, brother. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.